Alright, hello everyone. Welcome to your New York City crime news video for Saturday, February 6, 2021. We have a lot to get into per usual. We gotta talk about the subway crime getting out of hand, and at the end of this video, I need to talk about how the Guardian Angels are intimidating people, because I know the primary's coming up on June 22nd. And I know June is a long time away, but it's despicable what they're doing, And I'm just honestly upset that I had to really go on the Daily News website and take a look at, that article. I was disappointed when I read that the Guardian Angels were intimidating people. So we're going to get into that. I took a long pause because I'm thinking, aren't they supposed to intervene in violent situations? No, it seems not. It seems they have double standards. You can't really trust anybody anymore. You really can't. All right, so let's get into, once again, Spectrum News New York 1. What is on their homepage, you may be wondering. Look at this. De Blasio at Yankee Stadium for COVID shots. Oh, my goodness. This is... I understand there's a lot of interest in city council this year. Okay, I get that. And, once again, I'm very happy to hear that my old councilman, James Gennaro, is going to be back. But, I don't know what else there to say. Nothing about crime. Nothing about crime. What is this? Oversight agency? Okay. Posting racist remarks. Okay, I get that. But, by the way, I'm very happy to hear about Bedford Avenue. I'm not going to get into that, but, that's very important. And look at this. In order to find out about the storm coming tomorrow, and I'm going to do a video later tonight because, I'm waiting to hear from the National Weather Service on their forecast. Let me see. Yeah, see this? All the way down. That's a bigger story than COVID vaccines right now. Let's see if they have anything else. Early inside dining. I understand we're supposed to get our indoor dining back next week, but... My God. Well, let's see if we can find crime. I have to go on public safety, which... Ugh. Let's see what we can find here. Anything notable? Anything notable? Oh, lovely! They dropped the crimes against the guy who assaulted the EMT in the Bronx. Ah. Speaking of that, I found out... I had to go on Facebook. I had to find out on Facebook. Remember I talked to you last week about the guy who assaulted the woman at Kew Gardens? Well, he's out. And, I am going to be, again, asking for more presence from Transit District 20 at Kew Gardens, Union Turnpike, because there shouldn't be any excuses why we can't get more officers. Really. And look, they did... Okay. I'll give New York one credit. They spent 6 minutes on the subway shoving on the L line. We'll get into that. We'll get into that. There's a lot of crime going on. In fact, I found out there's I found a new website that's similar to the Queens Courier in Brooklyn. I found a couple disturbing things that the media hasn't reported in Brooklyn. 2 notable accidents in Brooklyn. In fact, hang on. I heard something this morning. Brooklyn dog owner. Let's see. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, this is an update I actually have on that story. So, we'll get to that later on when we get to the Brooklyn stuff. Because there was a lot of news we got to cover in Brooklyn as well. Because, as you know, that's also my jurisdiction as well, in a sense. But again, I'm very happy about Bedford Avenue. In fact, hang on. Really? New York one didn't even cover... Wait a minute. Actually, they did. I think they did. Never mind. I think they did. Let me just confirm, because I'll read that. I might as well. Yeah, here we go. So I'll read this very quickly. So if you didn't hear, they reopened the Bedford Avenue entrance at Nostrand in Brooklyn on the A and the C line. So we'll get into this. This is not a long article. Just confirm that right now. Okay. Oh, Dan Rivoli wrote this. Okay. Hasina Rahim had a long commute between her teaching job at a high school in Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn, and her home in Ozone Park, Queens. And example is you just gotta walk off the B44 route. Reopening the old entrances means Rahim and other riders no longer have to walk a quarter mile between the bus stop on Bedford Avenue and the other station entrances on Nostrand, which normally would take 3 minutes. These entrances were closed in 1991 as part of a system-wide shutdown of access points to reduce areas police had to patrol when crime in the city was at record highs. Here at the Nostrand Avenue station on the A and C lines, the closures not only inconvenienced riders, they led to crowding at the remaining entrances. A Bedford-Stuyvesant commuter named Diego Carvalho said, "It was a bit of a bottleneck. The entrances at Nostrand Avenue, and they can get pretty crowded because of the narrow staircases. So the new area here will definitely do a lot to help the congestion." For years, the community lobbied for the entrances to reopen. The clamor grew as ridership here increased. About 17,500 people used the station each weekday before the pandemic. Sarah Meyer, chief customer officer at New York City Transit, said, "That's taking precious minutes off someone's commute, and when that makes a difference between catching a train and missing it, that saves in time, adding up even more." As part of the reopening, the MTA improved lighting and installed surveillance cameras. Transit Bureau Chief Kathleen O'Reilly vows to keep the station and the subway system safe after a spate of violent attack on riders. "We have deployed more officers, and we switched officers from plainclothes and uniform presence to the platforms of the trains in the mezzanine area." So, again, if this was a normal circumstance, I would be asking for more presence. I mean, asking to arrest is just one thing. That's too much to ask. But, overall, we need help in Queens. I mean, an assault at Kew Gardens. Ugh. Nothing more recent. Shame on them. Okay, let's talk about what happened in Little Neck last night. If you try to Google it, try to search for Nice Bus Fire, look what you get. You get nothing. Look. Nothing about it last night. Nothing about it. I didn't get any notifications from my apps. What just happens if you type in Queens Bus Fire? See what happens. Yep, nothing. Nothing. Shame. Okay, so let's get into this. So this happened right by a McDonald's on Marathon Parkway and Northern Boulevard. Not too far from where Stop and Shop is. So we have a couple of videos of the incident. There have been rumors going around that this might have been done on purpose, but again, anything is possible. So, we're taking a look at this video here. Yeah, you could tell, look how far the smoke is over there on Northern Boulevard. And obviously, this was on the N20, and I don't like the letters, I'm sorry, but, should still be called the plain N20. But, let's just take a look here. I'll try to fast forward a little bit. Yeah, here's a closer view of it. In fact, let me try to get it in full screen. Yep. See that? I mean, my goodness. That's definitely a junk Excelsior. Not Excelsior, a junk Excelsior. That's what it is. And I'm keeping it on mute because, again, I don't want a DMCA claim. So, let's see what we can get. Oh, yeah, that's definitely an Excelsior right there. I mean, look at the engine. That's the see where my mouse is? That's where the engine is. So this bus easily caught on fire. Wow. But that's what Nice Bus is. And I really do feel bad for people in the middle of the island who have to deal with this because, you know, the Long Island Railroad's not running this weekend. They're not running the main line because they're doing the switch replacement work. And you know how that double crosses people from Queens as well who need to use the main line from Jamaica. So, obviously, you know, good luck with Nice Bus for the remainder of the weekend. Because, especially how we have a snowstorm on Super Bowl Sunday. And especially how, you know, well, then again, the restaurants aren't going to be open. I mean, who's really going to be out tomorrow when we're supposed to get 6 to 8 inches of snow? All right, let's move on now. A lot of things have been going on. Man slashed across the Manhattan-bound L train recounts terrifying encounter. You know, what else is there to say about subway crime? What else is there to say about it anymore? Okay, for a moment, let me move this a little bit. That's better. Strap hanger Noel Quintanilla said I wasn't even aware a stranger on his Wednesday morning L train commute had just slashed him in the face. It wasn't until Quintanilla, age 61, reached up to touch his cheeks and felt the warm blood in his fingertips that he knew he'd been badly cut. So, look how disturbing this is. I mean, look how many stitches they had to put on this guy. Look at his nose. Yeah, that's just disturbing. Okay, Quintanilla told the Daily News yesterday, "At first I thought he punched me or something, and when I saw the reaction of the people on the train, I thought I was hit. Then I saw my hand was bloody because I put my hand on my face. It was bleeding profoundly. I was so scared. There was a lot of blood flowing," he added. "I knew from watching movies that most people died because a lot of blood lost. I was so afraid of dying." Quintanilla was on his way to work in Harlem at 8:30 a.m. Wednesday when a man in his Louis Vuitton mask walked by and kicked the tote bag he set on the train floor. "I said, 'What is wrong with you?' and I went towards the door to get away from him," he said. Quintanilla shifted away from the assailant, but the man just kicked his bag before taking a box cutter knife to Quintanilla's face. "I asked someone to help, but nobody came." Yeah, and look, they even mentioned the Guardian Angels thing we're going to read at the end of the video. So we will get to that. Quintanilla just got out the next stop and went to an MTA booth where a worker dialed 911. Medics later then took him to Bellevue Hospital for treatment. So, what station did this happen at? Oh, it happened on the east side. Okay, yeah, not too far from Bellevue. First Avenue. "It was from cheek to cheek," Quintanilla said of the long horizontal gash that stretches right underneath his nose. The attacker ran off the train as soon as the doors opened at First Avenue. It wasn't clear if the assailant initially kicked the bag or did so accidentally. So we do have surveillance images of the suspect and acts of the public's help tracking him down. He is described as between 20 and 30, wearing a black North Face jacket, red hoodie, blue jeans, a red bandana, and light-colored sneakers. Wow, so this isn't his first attack. You know, I really want to know what the statistic is of a violent crime in New York City. I mean, that number has to go up, right? I mean, literally, I'm just going to tell you this right now. You come to New York City, you are literally a walking target for a violent crime to happen to you. I mean, this is 1981 all over again, isn't it? And look at this. He was sucker punched in the face 2 years ago at Lexington Avenue and 125th Street. Oh. Oh, and then look how disturbing this one is. I'll take a look at that. This is a New York one. I'll quickly read it. Oh my God. How many disturbing crimes are there? I don't know what else is there to say anymore. Alright, let's see what this one is about. Let's go down. Oh, God. Police respond to gas station robbery, finds half-naked woman satisfying... And you're going to have to excuse my French. But if I get claimed for, demonetization and so what. Satisfying the thief orally. Oh, my God. Oh, okay, this isn't New York. Let's see if this one's a New York one. Because, again, I just want to focus on New York. Ah, here we go. Here's a New York City one. By the way, the Daily News is really getting annoying with their ads. They really need to tone it down. They really need to... Oh, wait a minute. Never mind. Yeah. I had to put the ads back on because, they don't want an ad blocker. Okay. New York City man hacks his roommate with meat cleaver and jump... This is from last year. Oh my God. Look at this. That's a disturbing story. I'm not even going to get into that. I need something more recent. Alright, here's something recent. 2 trains sought for punching 70-year-old man on New York City train. So, this was just recently posted today. Wow. Alright, so let's get into it. 2 teens punched 70-year-old man in the face during a fight aboard a Manhattan subway. The teen, a boy and a girl, were on a Bronx-bound number 6 train approaching the 51st Street station at Lexington Avenue around 1:45 p.m. on January 25th when they got into an argument with the senior. It was not immediately clear how the dispute started. Oh, there might be one reason why. They weren't wearing a mask. Most likely. As the 3 squatted up, the suspects punched the victim in the face and ran out of the 51st Street station. The victim suffered a deep cut and some bruising to his face, but was not seriously harmed. So we do have MTA surveillance footage of the 2 assailants in the hopes somebody recognizes them. So, of course, you gotta call Crime Stoppers. Yep. Look at them. They're not even wearing masks. That's why I think they may have gotten into the fight. I'm not gonna really admit it, but that could be the reason why. That could be the reason why. Okay, let's move on. Last subway crime news. Let's see. Oh. Man randomly punched a strap hanger onto New York City subway tracks in latest attack. An unhinged man randomly shoved a strap hanger onto the tracks in a lower Manhattan subway station. The 26-year-old victim was standing on the northbound platform at Fulton Street Broadway Nassau station at 3:40 p.m. Tuesday when the attacker suddenly shoved him, propelling him onto the tracks. The victim suffered non-life-threatening ankle, leg, and hand injuries, and it was unclear if a train was pulling in at the time. The alleged attacker, Calvin Wilson, 38, was quickly arrested after he fled to the street, Shea said in the New York One interview Wednesday morning. He was charged with assault and reckless endangerment. So, this is somebody who has been in the system and has caused problems. So, Dermot Shea said, "We found him sleeping on the subway. We brought him to a shelter multiple times. We arrested him in December for threatening an MTA employee with a pipe. We brought him in as an emotionally disturbed person to the hospital multiple times. There are multiple opportunities to get this individual. He has issues." So, as I said, I've said it for years. Mentally ill homeless still rampant in our streets. Very bad. And then look, you got so many other issues that have happened. A woman was shoved against a moving train at Lexington Avenue and 59th Street in January. Also in January, a 32-year-old man was pushed onto the tracks at Times Square 42nd Street. And then on Christmas Eve, a station attendant was shoved at Nassau Avenue. You know, this is becoming a real pattern. Real pattern. You know, and I think this is what's going to happen with the mayoral election. You know, people have got to address this. You know, it's become a real problem. Now, let's take a look at this incident. You know, we had a fire in Ridgewood. Media didn't even cover this. Look at this. Fire in Ridgewood. Nobody even bothered to cover it. 2 Ridgewood families were displaced in their homes Tuesday after a fire broke out in the first floor deli of the building they live in. The fire department first received reports. And let me just zoom in. We all can see this. Okay, there we go. That should help us. Okay. The fire department first received report to the fire at 522 Woodward Avenue in Ridgewood around 11 p.m. on Tuesday, February 2nd, according to the authorities. Responding FDM members had the fire, which was mainly contained to the first floor of the 3-story building, under control a little over a half hour after getting the call. Though no injuries were reported as a result of the flames, 2 families living above the deli had to leave the building. They were provided temporary housing in a nearby hotel and emergency financial assistance by the American Red Cross. The fire marshal is looking into the cause of the fire. Okay, let's move on now. Now, this is something very disturbing. Gunman stormed Woodhaven home, terrorized family members. 2 armed gunmen who invaded a Queens home early on Friday morning, February 5th. They terrorized family members remained on the lam. Law enforcement sources say the home invasion occurred at 2:50 a.m. yesterday morning inside a house at 89th Street near 86th Road in Woodhaven. According to the police, the 2 perps, described only as black men, broke through a basement window and got inside the residence. They confronted 6 people displaying handguns and demanded money and jewelry. Inside the home, authorities say were 4 adults, 3 men ages 18, 34, and 30, a 28-year-old woman, and 2 children, a 10-year-old girl and a 9-year-old boy. Cops reported that the suspects restrained the adults' residence and rifled through the residence. They obtained a key to the safe before fleeing the location in an unknown direction. Officers from the 102nd Precinct responded to the incident and no serious injuries were reported. Okay, so Crime Stoppers. Anyone with information can call Crime Stoppers at 800-577-TIPS in Espanol. Oh, my bad. Let me just make sure I get the right number. That way I don't get anybody confused. It's 8477. Okay, so it's 1-800-577-8477 in Espanol. 888 Okay, hang on. 888-57-74782. That's pista. See, I remember that, but I can't remember the English one. You can also submit tips online at nypdcrimestoppers.com or on Twitter at nypdtips. All calls and messages are kept confidential. Okay. Alright, police probe mysterious death of a man found bleeding in hallway in Flushing. So we have a homicide to talk about in Flushing. Detectives are examining the death of a 37-year-old man found in the hallway of a Flushing apartment on Thursday night. Robert Campos, age 37, of 153rd Street, apparently collapsed on the second floor of the residential building at 140-17 Queens Boulevard in Jamaica just before 10 p.m. So wait a minute, he's from Flushing, but this happened in Jamaica. Okay. Officers from the 103rd Precinct responded to a 911 call about the incident, located Campos in the hallway of the residence. He was unconscious and unresponsive with blood dripping out of his nose. And unfortunately, the victim was taken in Jamaica Hospital, where he was pronounced dead. His body was transferred to the medical examiner's office for an autopsy to determine the cause of death. It's an ongoing investigation. There were no immediate signs of foul play. So, sadly, that had to be reported on. And then lastly, ooh, we got to get into this. Man assaulted in Elmhurst. Cops are looking for a group of men who attacked and robbed a man in Elmhurst on New Year's Day. Authorities say at 11:31 p.m. on January 1st, a 40-year-old man was riding on his e-bike near the corner of Roosevelt Avenue and 74th Street when he was approached by 5 unknown men. The suspects then began punching, kicked the man, and robbed him of his belongings. The suspects snatched the e-bike valued at $1,200 and the victim's iPhone XS valued at $700. Once the suspects fled on the e-bike, the rest fled on foot. The victim was treated at the scene for his pain and swelling to his face. So we do have pictures from nearby surveillance footage. So they're not really clear images, but moving on now. Let's see. I think they even covered it. Wow, look at that. The Daily News actually has a, yeah, see that? They actually have a video of it. Wow. Look at that. Second time this house in Woodhaven. Very disturbing. So we actually have a video of it. That is very... Well, look at this. 3 men raided the same home on January 27th. That is very scary to even think about. This is the story we just read from the Courier. Let's take a look at the video and see if we even play it. Okay, why is there an ad being played? Do apologize. We will get to the video in just a second. You know, I really Daily News. Really. I can skip it. Okay, here we go. Now we'll be able to play the video. So look at this. This is just very disturbing. I mean, you could even see there's a dog walking around the house. Yeah, thankfully they do have something, but you know, disturbing. All right, let's get into this one. Crooks kick indoor to deli in New York City and assault worker and swipe $600. 3 men kicked their way into a Bronx bodega. Yeah, see, in the Bronx, you don't call it a deli, you call it a bodega. Yeah, you don't want to offend the locals. Alright, so here we go. 3 men kicked their way into a Bronx bodega and assaulted a 66-year-old worker before running off with cash, police said. The robbery happened at the New Era Bodega on White Plains Road near East 230th Street in Williamsbridge on January 30th. Surveillance video released Friday showed the suspects repeatedly kicking in the door of the bodega around 4:40 a.m. So, they do have pictures. The bodega was open, but customers had to make their orders through a window during the overnight hours. Once inside, the 3 men punched, kicked, and threw the employee to the floor and took $600 from the cash register. Medics took the worker to a nearby hospital with bruises to his head and body. There have been no arrests. So, sad, sad, sad. I mean, there's so much coverage of what happened in Woodhaven. Wow. Well, I'm not even going to get into that again. Alright, so, let's get into a couple news about accidents that have been happening in Brooklyn lately. So, I don't know what's going on in Brooklyn with all these car accidents lately. I mean, I don't know how much the media refuses to cover. I mean, think about it. A lot of these accidents have been fatal. The good news is Channel 7 supposedly gave an update on the Belt Parkway accident that we covered last week. So there is some good news. A missing dog who bolted from the car crash on the Belt Parkway in Brooklyn reunited with family. So at least there's somewhat of a happy ending into this. So the dog's name is Shadow. And the good news is the victim's fiancé is now the new owner of the dog. So at least that's some good news, but there's nothing the fiancé can do. I mean, that was an awful accident last week on the Belt. Okay, so the 2-year-old black canine Corso went missing after his owner Michael March lost control of his vehicle on the Belt Parkway last week and crashed near the Flatbush Avenue exit in Marine Park. So, that's the dog, by the way. And for whatever reason, it almost looks like a Borbal. Almost looks like my old dog Teddy in a sense. Oh, look at that. The dog is named Shadow, fled the wreck and wasn't seen for nearly a week until a pair of animal rescue experts tracked him down and reunited him with his grieving family. So, the fiancé, Anne, said they had to break the window to get Michael out, and he ran. He kept running. He bolted across the Belt and thankfully did not get hit by any other vehicles. He lived through it. So, wait a minute. This dog had to go all alone during the blizzard. Wow. Just incredible. He lived through the blizzard and had no food all these days, and if it wasn't for the people, they would have never had the dog back. Wow. The pet detectives Kim Fisher and Teddy Henn spent 5 days wading through knee-deep snow in search for the missing mastiff. Okay, let me just make sure anything else here. When they finally heard barking from the fence in the brush near Floyd Bennett Field, the dog duo sent out several feeding stations and got help from an off-duty police officer who brought his German Shepherd along to lure Shadow out of the shadows. Okay. He's traumatized and he was hungry, said Fraser, founder of the Sasha's Mission Animal Rescue in Rockaway. Once he knew he was safe, he was happy to be with us. Henn of the Long Island Lost Dog Search and Rescue in Sayville, and Fraser called Franasco with the good news and delivered the dog to her doorstep. So the paws were a little bit red and could use a trip to the veterinarian. Other than that, the dog was in pretty good shape. So good news is the dog is okay. Wow, look at that. The couple was supposed to get married in May, and what would have been March's 43rd birthday. So we're learning more about the victim who was involved in the accident on the Belt Parkway last week. The victim was a medical worker. The vehicle involved was a wrecked Nissan and took them to New York Langone Hospital in Brooklyn. Now, as we reported last week on January 30th, when the accident happened, he was initially conscious and alert and believed to be in stable condition. But sadly, he had died at the hospital 2 hours later. But again, at least there's some good news on that. Okay, so let's get into a couple other accidents that have been happening in Brooklyn lately. I want to thank Nicole Galanis on Twitter. She actually made me aware of this website from Brooklyn called BKLYNER Brooklyner. I will mention that right now she is supposedly a candidate for the mayor's race coming up in June. She hasn't made an official announcement on that yet, but supposedly she's claiming that she's writing a book. Now, we don't know what the book is about, but I'm hoping she runs because then I can use the ranked choice system in my favor. Alright, so let's get into this. two accidents that have happened in Brooklyn. The media has refused to cover it. So, one dead and 2 injured on an accident that happened on the Gowanus Expressway. Now, they say BQE, but was this really on the Gowanus? Yeah, Flushing Avenue. This is technically the Gowanus. Okay, here we go. Happened at the Flushing Avenue exit of the BQE within the 88th precinct of Clinton Hill at 12:40 a.m. on January 22nd. They found a red... Let me see if I can even zoom this in for you. Hang on. I know what people can't read on a smartphone. Okay, so here we go. They found a two-door Sequoia vehicle with 2 passengers, a 22-year-old female, the driver, and a 33-year-old male in the rear seat. A 23-year-old male who was in the front seat passenger was ejected from the vehicle when it crashed into a barrier, police said. EMS transported a 22-year-old female driver and a 33-year-old backseat passenger to New York City Health Hospital Woodhaven. Both in stable condition, the 23-year-old front seat passenger was taken to New York Bellevue Hospital where he was pronounced dead. Interesting. Okay. As of 8:18 a.m., the New York PD Highway District Collision Investigation Squad had determined that the car was traveling eastbound on the BQE approaching Flushing Avenue when the 22-year-old female driver failed to properly navigate the roadway, which caused the vehicle to strike the stationary cushion structure at the exit portion on location. No other vehicles were affected, and the female driver is taken into custody with charges pending. Interesting. Oh, look at this. There was another accident in Marine Park that didn't get covered. So, what is going on in Marine Park lately? 2 accidents in a 3-day period. Crazy. Well, not a 3-day period. 20th. Yeah, 10-day period. 10-day period. Because the other accident that involved the Nissan was on the 30th. Okay, here we go. January 20th, this happened around 7:30 p.m. The driver of a car crashed into a pedestrian, killing him. This happened outside 2233 Utica Avenue in the 63rd Precinct. That's obviously Marine Park Mill Basin. Upon arrival, officers observed a 60-year-old man in the roadway with trauma throughout the body. Images from the scene show windshield damage to the car. EMS responded and transported the injured pedestrian to Mount Sinai Hospital where he died. A preliminary investigation revealed the pedestrian was struck while crossing the street. The investigation is ongoing. So, seriously, what is going on in Marine Park lately? I don't get it. I really don't get it. Let me just look up this address for a second. 2233 Utica Avenue. Just going to quickly look it up. Let's see. Oh, no. Yep, I know exactly where this is. I know exactly where this is. Yikes. See, that's Utica Avenue right there. And PC Richard & Son's not too far from where that is. And again, I only know that area because I have my parents' friends literally live in Mill Basin. And we used to go to their house a lot before the pandemic. Alright, so, let's get into this other one. This is in the central part of Brooklyn. NYPD searching for 2 teenage serial robbers. Okay, here we go. This happened in December. Between the dates of December 9th, 2020 and December 20th of 2020, it was reported to police that 2 teenagers aged 16 and 18 cops think had committed 12 robberies. The boys threatened victims with weapons and stole their belongings, money, cell phone, and wallets. They were last active in the confines of the 67th, 71st, and 77th precincts, comprising of the neighborhoods of East Flatbush, Remsen Village, Crown Heights, Wingate, Prospect Lefferts, and Prospect Heights. So at least they were in a Mill Basin or Marine Park, or in Garrettson. The NYPD is asking for the public's help in locating the individuals. So, yikes. I mean, they're obviously going to get caught. Look at this guy, not even wearing a mask. This is what I mean. I always talk about it. I always talk about dumb criminals. This is Dumb Criminals 101 right here. Wow. Okay, last story from Brooklyn. Suspect found in September murder. Now, I'm not going to get into each story from Brooklyn, but man, Brooklyn's seeing a lot of homicides lately. I mean, that's always typical of Brooklyn. So this is the most recent one that they had on their website. Errol Stevenson, a 28-year-old male who lives in the Bronx neighborhood of Osmond Park, was arrested and charged with the murder of Patrick Winkler last Wednesday. Okay, here we go. Winkler, a 46-year-old man who lived in the Kips Bay men's shelter, was found on fire. Wow! At the intersection of Schenectady Avenue and Rutland Road in Prospect Park, Lefferts, on Wednesday, September 16th, 2020 at 9:23 p.m. After cops extinguished the flames encompassing Winkler, he was transported to Cornell Medical Center and was pronounced dead on Monday, October 19th, 2020. So, this dates back to 2020. Look at that. Look at that. This is just very alarming. You know, I just don't get it. Alright, so we'll just get to our last story. The Guardian Angels. Now, many of you know, and I did a live stream about this, Curtis Lewa is supposedly running for mayor of New York City. But the catch is, Curtis Lewa has not officially filed with the New York City Campaign Finance Board. Alright, that's the secret that everybody knows about. Okay? So, let's talk about how the Guardian Angels are using intimidation on other people. Let's get into this. You know, I don't know what else to say about them anymore. Guardian Angels patrol volunteer turned in his red beret this week after he was caught on video attacking a New York Assembly candidate and another man on an Upper East Side subway. Startling video shared on social media shows the Angel, identified only as Dan karate-kicking Assembly candidate Patrick Bomblin, and fighting with another man on a Q train Thursday night after the pair said the anti-crime group liked to pick on the weak. The Guardian Angels demanded to know what they do for the homeless before he starts tussling with Bomblin. The patrolman's fellow angel and another woman on the train step in to break up the fight. So there is a video of this. I'm not even going to play it, but it's just disturbing. Bomblin said, "I thought you guys were violent interrupters." Bomblin's running for the Upper East Side 76th District. Last night, after Guardian Angels start the Stonewall protest members were riding on the queue while I was on my way home. They were picking fights with riders from the march. One member got in my face while I was seated and then tried to karate kick me. Another rider intervened. When we do treat the Guardian Angels real-life boogeymen of 80s fear-mongering, like we said we would treat gangs during the tougher crime era. They now have embodied uniforms. It's a brazen performance of systematic inequality. Now, let's get into Curtis Lewa, who has a supposed popular talk show on 77 WABC. Dan reached out to him moments after the attack and submitted his resignation. Now, Curtis Lewa said, "He called me that night, described what happened, and said he'd have to resign." And it says here that this volunteer patrolled the Upper East Side. supposed to take the verbal abuse. So look at this. They want to break up the Guardian Angels. Well, at this point, maybe it is time, because again, Curtis Lee is using intimidation. This is all lies right here. This is all lies by Curtis Lewa trying to win the Republican nomination for mayor of New York City. And trust me, I know with ranked choice voting, he is going to be my 5th choice. And I encourage you all, with the ranked choice in the Republican primary, if he's on the ballot. I know I don't like to make political statements that much, but please, I'm asking you nicely to put him as your 5th choice in ranked choice, because we have that option this year. We have to do all we can to stop Curtis Lewa, and especially if you go to a runoff in the summer, we gotta do all we can to stop him now before he tries to claim more power. Because if he's mayor of New York City, you're gonna see crime really get out of hand. You think Curtis Lewa's gonna help us? No. Alright, so I'm done ranting here, so that's gonna wrap up this video. Thank you all very much for watching. Again, we're going to have an update on the snowstorm coming up later tonight, because I can't believe I have to talk about another snowstorm. Thankfully, this isn't going to be a blizzard, but still. The wind's picking up today. I mean, I don't know what's going on with the wind. So we'll have to get into that later tonight as well. So, till the next one, please take care.